Okay, welcome back. I don't know if you remember last week or so, or the huge outage, security outage with one of the great providers in the United States, Verizon. So we're very honored to have with us today Chris Hoar, who was the Disaster Response and Telecom National Security Spokesman for SAT-123 or SAT-123. With decades of experience in satellite communication technology and emergency preparedness. You can go to SAT123.com is the website, pretty familiar, SAT123 or 123.com. Check it out. Chris, thanks for your time. How are you?
I'm good, Pastor. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Yeah, you bet. So what happened with Verizon and how big of a breach was this?
I mean, this was a major outage. This covered most of the United States. Particularly hard hit was the East Coast, but it lasted around 10 to 12 hours for most people, and it was a total blackout. It took out cellular, voice, text, and data communications for customers in most of the country. We saw over 2.2 million reports of issues, and then on sites like Down Detector, around 180,000. Reports were logged. So this was a pretty big deal.
What happened?
Well, you know, what happened? That's a good question. Verizon, whilst the attack was going on, said they were working on fixing it, but they didn't say what it was they were fixing. And so that tends to lead me to believe that this might have been some kind of cyber attack. We've certainly seen numerous cyber attacks on telecom networks in the last 12 months. Many have been successful. But look, whether or not this cyber attack, the reality is companies don't like to admit they've been attacked. They've suffered a cyber attack for liability issues and otherwise. So, you know, we have to kind of go with their word on this. But in my mind, whether or not it was a cyber attack is less important than the effect. I mean, when you've got millions of people who have compromised or no emergency service capability, you know, that's a real issue. Like a lot of people, a lot of government, state, local, and first responders rely on cellular communications to conduct their operations. And so if these cell towers are down, that's a big issue. And that's where satellite phones come in. Satellite phones are not subject to, you know, these outages. And we have for 20 years provided satellite communications from companies like Inmarsat and Iridium. These are used by the U.S. military and others because they know that where they're operating, there may be little to no cell service available.
I think a lot of people were surprised that companies of the size of Verizon don't have an emergency backup plan.
Well, their backup plan is to use satellite communications. I mean, on some of their phones, you know, you have the ability to send messages via satellite if the cellular network's not working, although we have seen quite a few reports of those messages not being received, or certainly not in a timely fashion. But, you know, companies like Verizon use, you know, when they have towers down in large areas, they use satellite communications to coordinate getting those things back up.
I think we're surprised of how vulnerable the system is. Are you saying it wasn't a hack job?
I mean, if I had to put money on it, I would say that it's very likely that it was. But, you know, again, we only have Verizon's word here. But look, I mean, these networks run on software and data centers and so on. They run over the internet, essentially. So it's, you know, an advanced cyber hacking, cyber warfare group can very easily, it seems, attack these networks and disrupt them, if not take them down. So it's no surprise to me if this was a cyber attack. But regardless, you know, what we know is that those countries, those nation states that seek to disrupt this country have been for years focused on our utilities, because it's the lowest hanging fruit, right? If you attack the power grid, the water supply, the telecommunications network, you get the best bang for your buck as far as disrupting life here in the U.S. on a daily basis. So no big surprise if that's what it was.
What does a company like Starlink play in the future with these kinds of issues?
I mean, I think satellite communications in general, you know, is the way we really have to end up, because cellular communications relies on a vast network of ground-based towers, of course, and then all the backhaul that goes to those towers, and it is very vulnerable. If one tower goes out, it can take down an entire area. We saw it just in New York last year, New Jersey, New York, around the UN General Assembly, was a SIM server attack on that network, which, had it actually been activated, could have taken out service in large parts of Manhattan and New Jersey, just with a few SIM servers and a few 100,000 SIM cards. But all of our cellular networks are very vulnerable, and I think we need to, as a country, have been moving towards direct satellite communications for voice and data, so that we are less vulnerable to this kind of attack.
If it wasn't a hack, is there a common concern among other companies like Verizon where this could continue as a disruption in the future?
Yeah, there is. I mean, a lot of these companies use hardware and software provided by companies like Nokia and Ericsson that are kind of the backbone of most of the big cellular networks in this country. So it can happen in one place, it can happen in another. That also means that malicious actors figure out how to disrupt, this equipment on one network, they can certainly replicate that across to the others. So, like anything that runs on data and over the internet, essentially any software program, it is vulnerable to attack. And with the rise of AI use in cyber warfare, we can certainly expect to see more of this kind of activity in the future.
Same thing for other countries?
Yeah, it's the same thing for everyone. Some countries are better prepared than others, but I don't think we're doing a worse job than anyone else. We're probably doing a slightly better job. But the issue is we have to defend so many platforms and so many systems against so many attacks on a daily basis. It is hard for any company to keep up. So this is a constant battle. We're always trying to outrun the tiger.
Wow. Okay, so what advice can you give to Americans to make sure that if they get cut off like this, that they have emergency communications?
I mean, satellite phones, which we've been selling for 20 plus years, really are the best way to have redundancy and to make sure that you are not cut off, because it's not just cyber attacks on cellular networks or software upgrade problems with cell networks that take down cell service. It can be natural disasters, hurricanes, wildfires, and so on, or if the grid goes down, there's power outages, the cell towers are going to go down as well. So satellite phones work independently of all of that kind of infrastructure. A sat phone will communicate directly with the satellite and give you the ability to get a call out or get a text out or receive a call or text. And with satellite phones, you can call or text any other device that receives calls and texts anywhere in the world. It's not just like you could call from satellite phone to satellite phone. You can call any landline, any other cell phone, anywhere that's operational. So those phones are actually free with activation at net123.com. Anywhere else, they're going to cost you $1,000 plus, and you can get a monthly plan starting at $50, $60. But this, can be definitely a life-saving device. In the 20 years we've been in business, we've seen numerous lives saved by these devices in natural disasters. And look, people just go off the grid. Only 10% of the United States on a good day is covered by operating cell phone service, because they only put cell towers where they can make a profit from them, right? So if there's not a lot of people, there's not going to be a lot of cell towers. Anyone who goes hiking, hunting, fishing will know this. You'll see those bars disappear. But if you run into trouble when you're out there in the wild, then you're going to be out of luck if all you have is a cell phone in most cases. Wow.
So tell all our listeners and viewers, what is SAT 123, SAT 123?
So we started off as just providing satellite phones for rent, and then we went on to start selling them, providing regular plans with them like cell phones. And then we moved into satellite internet, and we do free Starlink units with activation, for example. And we also provide other things that are necessary to keep your life running in the worst case scenario, including solar powered portable generators, and then bulletproof backpacks for your kids, Faraday bags for your cell phones, and so on, and other electronic equipment to protect them from EMPs, solar flares, stuff like that. So it's really kind of emergency preparedness gear you know, a lot of your viewers, I'm sure, have extra food, water, ammunition, stuff like that, which is great. But if you don't have independent communications device, a redundant one like a satellite phone, as backup, you can end up in a world of hurt.
All right, sat123.com is the website, and you can check it out there. There's a picture of the landing page. Chris, you're fascinating. Let's stay connected, and let's hope this doesn't happen again, but I don't know how it's preventable in today's world.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right. Thanks, Pastor, for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, see you later.